everyone, this is your first compulsory art lesson and we're going to be learning about the 5 different shading techniques. These techniques are important because they are used to change 2D shapes into 3D forms, they give texture to your items, and they give depth and perspective to your drawings. I want you to practice these 5 techniques because you're going to be using them in your next lesson on value scales, and that's going to go towards marks towards the end of the year. So let's learn more about shading and see how we get this finished product.
Right, so now the 5 shading techniques of line that are used to create tone, and this is the page that's going to give us the examples. So if we have a look here, this one's called hatching. They're short, thin lines, and they're used in this shading technique. So the tone, or the tone is the shade, the color, the depth of the color is built up by adding thin strokes of lines of different lengths. The more lines you add, the closer they're together, the darker the tones that will be created. When we look at the cross hatching, they use the same technique as in hatching, but you add another layer as the lines are crossed over, so it gives like a meshed-like pattern. So the more lines you add, the same, the darker the value. Let's have a look here. This is the blending. This blending is where you're going to create an even tone without the visible lines in between. There you have the visible lines. This is where you blend it so you don't have the visible lines. And then you use your lighter tone or your darker tone to give the different shades. Here we have scribbling. This is also a technique. The lines are used without any specific direction and given a random scribbling feel. And this one is called stippling. You're just using the little dot of your pencil. You're making many dots. When you put your dots together, you get a darker value, and as you spread them out, you get the lighter value. And now let's have a look at the shading page. There are just a few things I want you to have a look at. So first of all, if you can see there, your circle looks like a 2D. Here they've used the circle, the same size circle, but they've used the stippling, or the little dots, to create that circle to almost look like a sphere. You can see the darker value in that corner. Something really interesting is to look at these 2 tubes. This tube has got the shading on the top and down the side. The side shading makes the tube look round, 3D, and the top shading shows that it's a whole solid cylinder. However, the same one drawn over here, which is exactly the same in drawing, but you've changed the shading. We've got our darker shading here, which shows the 3D round, but the shading's now going down into the tube, and that gives us the hollow existence. Always look where the light is shining, because the side where the light is, that's where the light side, and then the darker value comes on the opposite side, where the light isn't shining. Have a look at these mountains here. There's the sun is shining. On that one, there's the light value. There's no sun behind it because it's coming from to the front of these. There you can see we've used the strokes, the hatching, the plain hatching to create the 3D and the darker values in there. Here we can have a look where they've used the stippling. You can see the stippling down here, giving the shade, giving the look of the 3D shape. The same over there. Interesting. Let's have a look at these 2. Here we have 2 rocks. Just given flat without any shading, they would be very, very boring. However, here they have used the hatching. Here we've used the cross hatching. So there you can see the cross hatching gives it the 3D, or even the bit of movement, the depth in the different spaces. Here we've got our cylinder, our sphere, our cube, and our cone. They all have been shaded to show the difference. You can see there we've got cross hatching, there we've got some blending, here we've got stippling, there we've got the hatching a little bit further apart there, once again showing, and of course here we've got the cross hatching here, which is different to the stippling over there. And last but not least, here we've got our scribbling. If you have a look at that tree to give the sense of all the leaves, also look how darker the value is to that side and how much lighter it is there. Right. Let's have a look at this. Here we have our cube and our pyramid, our cylinder and our circle, and I would like you to use this as your practice. This is what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to use any of those techniques, or maybe try all of the techniques and turn these into their 3D. Have a look where the shadow, so the light is coming from this side. So there's a shadow. The box has a shadow, the pyramid has a shadow, the cube has a shadow, and the shadows are very dark. The value is really dark there. When we have a look where the light is shining at the tops, that's where you have a lighter value. And then as you see, it goes from light to dark. That creates the 3D, the roundness. You've got the change over there, you've got the darker color there, and you've got your very dark value over here. So I'd like you to draw these shapes, forms, and then using those shading techniques, practice. And don't forget to upload your pictures, your forms and shapes, so that I can have a good look and see how you're doing. If you've got any problems, send me a message and I'll see if I can help you. Thank you. Enjoy.